Hi everybody, this is Josh Ellsworth from Stahls. Appreciate you joining me live here on Facebook today for our featured class, which is Quit Competing on Price, Unlocking Your Competitive Advantage. I am broadcasting live. It's noon o'clock Eastern Standard Time here in Pennsylvania, where we're broadcasting from the Stahls TV studios. So shout out where you're watching from. If you have any questions while we're together for the next half hour, please feel free to chime in with those. And towards the end of the presentation and sometimes throughout, I'll check in just to make sure you're following along, because this topic is an important one. So whether you're watching live or as a follow-up, please feel free to chime in and ask the specific questions relevant to your business, because our whole goal with doing classes like this is to make you more successful as a business owner and make you more profitable in your company. So today, I'm going to walk through 5 different high-level strategies on how you can pull yourself out of the area of price pressure and perhaps challenge you to rethink how you're approaching the business. Because as I read industry surveys, and I've been talking about this here on the Stahls TV Morning Show, I'm seeing over and over again that decorators are citing price pressure and the driving down of price and profit margins as one of the top challenges in the business. And I know competition is increasing. If you're a mid-sized decorator, often you're getting squeezed by the big guy and you're getting squeezed by the hobbyist who's able to get a small vinyl cutter and decorate in a spare bedroom, and perhaps that's some of you today. But these are good principles regardless if you want to grow your business, want to take it to the next level, want to make as much revenue as possible for the products that you're selling. So with that in mind, I see people watching from Denver and let's see, Hartford, Connecticut, and Indiana's here, and all kinds of folks joining us live today, so we appreciate that. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the presentation. I've prepared a presentation this morning because there's a lot of sort of content to step through with unlocking your competitive advantage. And this is a point, a lot of these learnings are things, of course, that I've consumed through reading and research and experience and put together. So a lot of these are borrowed thoughts, and I'll try to cite the source as much as possible, and maybe even you'll pick up a few nice books that will be good to you. So this thought, know your MVC or your minimum viable customer, is one that comes from a book by Seth Godin, which is called This Is Marketing. So when you think about, usually you see this as MVP in the developer world, you hear your minimum viable product. And minimum viable product is a way that development teams and product developers approach products, saying, if we can get to this baseline for a product development, especially in technology solutions, we feel like the solution is robust enough to launch and we don't need to spend forever in development. So it's a way for development teams to frame their thinking about what they're trying to accomplish and what's viable. And so what this book, This Is Marketing, does starts to challenge you to think more in smaller audiences. So when you are creating your offer, how can you think first about the customer that you want to target with that offer? So that's the principle with minimal viable customer. And to really, as you start to think of who are you selling to so you can get out of price pressure, you think about that minimum viable customer and you need to get into their shoes. So it's very likely that you may do business with a lot of types of customers. And what makes customers and how you present your product to them unique is that if they value a different part of the offer, you really should segment that customer off in your business and tailor the offer to them. And in order to understand whether or not you need to do that, you really need to think about who your customers are today, put them into market segments, or who your customers that you want to be tomorrow. So as you'll see on the slide here, it says, get in their shoes. So the more you can think like your customer, understand like your customer, the better off you're going to be about having product that's relevant to the customer. So some specific areas when you're thinking about who that customer is think about their pains. And this is general. This can go for any type of business, not just apparel decorating. So what are some of their fears, their frustrations, their obstacles? I really like when you talk about decorating apparel, maybe there's not a fear other than maybe the design coming off, something like that, or not having a good quality. But the frustrations and the obstacles that prevent them from purchasing from a particular provider are things that you want to focus in on as you're getting into your customer's shoes and understanding some of the pain points they have when they have to order product like the product that you sell. So making sure you kind of build a list, maybe put your customer type on top of a notebook, make a column for pains for that customer type, make a column for gains, and then start listing these things out, bullet point them out. It should be a really simple half-hour exercise if you know your customers. If you have trouble getting stuff on the page, you probably want to do a little more research and be a little bit more perceptive about who your customers are. That way you kind of get out of the price pressure and you can understand who they are and what they value. So not only pains, but gains. And this is the area I like to focus on. What are their wants and needs, and how do they measure success when it comes to a decorated apparel job? Is it because they have it on time? Is it because they have it separately bagged to hand out to the students or the employees inside of their shop? Is it something about the quality of what's delivered, or the brand recognition, or the styling of the piece? So there can be a lot of gains that you can create through how you tailor your offer and really render apparel choice when you start to understand what are the pain points in the process for the existing customer, and what are the gains, what can deliver additional value that perhaps you can include with your offer to come outside of price. Now, I'm doing kind of a dual presentation here, so the real content is all the text, but all the text is not as fun as putting some product images there. So as you'll see throughout, I've just punched in 5 different Stahls products that I think will help you stand out from the crowd when you're trying to overcome price pressure or really not get into the competitive environment. So these are products that are trending and up and coming, and if your customer values these sorts of things, maybe it's a gain creator and how they measure success, having what's latest, these would be products that you'll want to take a look at. So know your minimal viable customer. That's point 1. Get in their shoes, document their pains and gains. Now, once you have a proper understanding of who those customer types are, then it really comes to tailoring the offer. And so a one-size-fits-all offer really doesn't work very well anymore. Typically, those types of companies with a one-size-fits-all offer that says we just do t-shirts and everybody gets the same type of t-shirt, the same type of decoration, the same type of look, often that's where you see a lot of the price pressure, is when you have a generalist approach. I mean, think about it. The generalist retail stores that we have are companies like Walmart, or unfortunately Kmart or Sears, where we take a general approach to the market, we're everything to everybody, and really that puts you needing to lead on price and having to compete with some giants that are already well established in order to gain the business. So I think a much more viable concept is understand your different customer segments, understand their pains and their gain creators, and then tailor your offer to something that delights the customer. Maybe it solves one of the pains or creates a gain and breaks out from the pack. So I have tailor your offer in a way that delights and breaks out. And let me explain what I mean here. So one is it has to be relevant. And we just kind of went through that exercise, making sure whatever we create is relevant to that customer type, making sure it's going to check some of the boxes for what they're after. Maybe it's a delivery speed that they previously don't get that was a pain point for them. Maybe it's the way the product is broken up and delivered. Something that hits on some of those things are going to not only help you win that initial business with how you outline the offer, but help you have loyalty as well for reorders, which is some of the biggest deal. The other note here, and I think this one's critical, is I'm calling it insulated competency. So figuring out, like, if you step back and you look at your business and you think about who you are, the question is, what can I do different than everybody else that's out there? What can I offer that somebody else does not? So if you own a brick and mortar store, you have a retail storefront, there's probably some experiences that you can create. There's probably some things that you can do that a home-based business or somebody that's just in a factory space, or maybe that just sells online from across the country and ships product into your neighborhood, there's probably something that you need to be able to do for your target customer that allows you to have some competency, something you can do nobody else can do, that's insulated. And what I mean by insulated is just that. It's tough for somebody else to come in and compete with. So think about exactly who you are as a business. Your business should be structured with something that's going to deliver value to the customer type that you're targeting, and then make sure you hammer down on that particular value. Maybe you pick up the phone on the first ring, and you have that personal service. Maybe you're willing to go out and deliver the product. So there's all different types of ways as a business that you can differentiate, but the important thing is that you differentiate in a way that the customer values. And that's what we call creating a value proposition, something that's distinct and unique, and that's a competitive edge that separates you from this competitive space where we always come back to price. It allows you to stand up to price pressure and not have to give discounts because you deliver something different that is tailored to the customer type, to the market segment than everybody else. So number one is understand your minimum viable customer. Number two is tailor your offer. Let's move to number three. Yes, Charles, you really do need a heat press. I can help you with that later after the class. So appreciate the comment. The third thing is make it simple and simplify. So you can get caught up in the complexity of all these different things your offer can do, but I would caution you, don't create a encyclopedia that outlines the offer and everything possible you can do. I call it show up and throw up, where you just give everything to the customer and you don't even stop to ask good questions and listen to what the customer's after and hit on the critical things. So number one is, as you're tailoring this offer, make it as simple as possible, then take a couple days away from the offer, or maybe it's a week, and then come back and then further simplify it. So I think that refinement of the offer is a really important part. That way somebody can comprehend easy and they can remember it. That's one of the big things. And it makes it shareable, so they can tell other people about it as well, which should get you referrals, which is a really nice part of the business that usually doesn't have as much price pressure. So when you're thinking of creating that offer, making it simple, and then further simplifying it, there's a few critical considerations that I wanted to outline that can be part of the offer. There's the product piece of it, and so you've heard us talk about it probably a lot if you've attended any of these classes, which is good, better, best. So being able to outline no more than 3 choices at a time for a customer. If you go in and you dump the whole product catalog on them and every single heat transfer film finish or screen printed transfer finish that they can buy at once, they're going to be overwhelmed and they're going to arrive at indecision. It's called the paradox of choice, and there's a lot of studies and documentation on it that says that is not a good way to move a customer through the sales process to get to the conclusion that you want and really that they want with the product that serves their needs. So make sure you simplify that product and present no more than 3 choices at once. That'll allow them to get forward in the process. Make sure you simplify pricing. So your price grids shouldn't be complicated, and you shouldn't have to have 800 price grids to lay out your product or all these different rules around pricing. If you can deliver a one price that's all in for the decoration in the garment, I think that's always the best. And perhaps you can have a price break that's based around quantity, but the more types of decorations you can group together, the more averages and simplification you can drive into the price model. Just saying the decoration price is this is a lot more powerful, and number one, it puts you in a position of strength when you deliver the price. When you start delivering all these grids and all of these factors, it looks like there's room for negotiation at every point. So deliver the price confidently, have a simple price model when you deliver the products. The price is this is a phrase you want to have, not we usually charge this, and then all of a sudden you start to get some of this price pressure. Next is delivery and turnaround. So when you think about delivery and turnaround, you want to simplify that as well. What are the standard turn times when somebody orders product from your business for you to deliver it? Also the delivery in general. How does it get delivered? Do you ship it? Do they pick it up? What are the hours for pickup? Try to think about all these things in advance, but these are the 3 critical few things that you want to have simple and easy to explain in your business. Not only should you be able to memorize this, but all of your staff should understand this and be able to tell the story and memorize it. And that's why it's very important to keep it simple for the customer. All right, next. So deliver the story like no one else. And this becomes part of the simplicity of the story. And this becomes part of making the experience memorable. So I've done a fair amount of reading on sales, probably more than I'd like to admit. And when you think about what people buy, is they really buy stories. You can have all the data in the world, but if you can articulate in a story what you've done for another customer like them, then all of a sudden it's relatable. All of a sudden it's that they can accomplish the same things as somebody else, and you show that you're credible and you're experienced. So you want to be able to have those sort of stories available and be able to deliver it on what you've accomplished for other customers like them in their space. So if you're selling to a corporation, you'll want to talk about other corporations and what you've been able to deliver. That creates trust, it creates credibility, and often if some of the value drivers for the customer are things like quality, those stories help to build that quality story out, and so you want to have a consistent thread on the message you're trying to tell and wrapping that up into the story. So not only do you want to have that pitch and presentation locked in, but you want to be able to target that story to other people. So if we look at the slide here, I have three particular notes here. So deliver the story like no one else, and that means target and standing out. So I've talked about the standing out piece with how you pitch and present, and how the experience that you have helps to drive loyalty and trust. But the other important part of delivering the story is exactly where you deliver the story. And if you've done a good job at identifying a specific customer type, that minimum viable customer, at creating a relevant offer for them, at making it easy to understand, then the only thing left to do is how do I get that message out to as many customers like this as possible. And so this is one of the big things. When I was at a show, when was it? It was March in Atlantic City. I had a conversation with a customer that was struggling in his business. And I mean, he was kind of specific in that they did athletics and he had a retail space, and he had been established, but the business was really struggling. And he was able to do a turnaround, and one of the biggest things he cited as success for that turnaround was hiring, outsourcing to a marketing company that could help him reach specific audiences that his product would reach on places like Google AdWords and Facebook marketing, and Instagram, and so on and so on. So while you may not be completely up on social media, if you are, you have an advantage in that you can spin up this offer to the customer on your own, probably for as little as amount as possible. But if you don't have that experience, you can always hire for it, create a position that complements what you know, and marketing is a critical piece. You can have the best products in the world, you can deliver them faster than everybody, you can have the best offer, but unless you get the word out to more customers like that, you're going to have an issue. So the lesson there is think about the marketing vehicle, how you're going to spin up this offer, and how you're going to reach audiences that you need to reach. And I would highly recommend you consider doing that through an online platform, because not only can you get very specific, but it's also very measurable as far as a spend to make sure you can target those clients and get more business that you like. Once again, if you're a generalist, it's going to be tough to go out and really get a good ad spend on the money, because you could just market on t-shirts, and that's like the most expensive keyword you're ever going to come up with. So it's much better to say dance studio t-shirts or recital t-shirts or bass fishing t-shirts. So you get the point. You want to target the audience, and that will help you target the search terms and the profile settings and whatnot through social media. All right, so I have one more point, but I'm going to flip back and take a look at some questions coming in here. So Michael asked, can we go back to the pricing? It's hard to have a set price and not a range when it varies by style of apparel. A Gildan is not going to be the same pricing point of a pennant, let's say. So you do recommend a price for every product line, and there's a little bit more notes there, so let me read those. A price for every product line you offer. We can say a single color front placement. Yep, you're getting the point. So I get the spirit of the question at the end. You're right. You're going to have, what I'm suggesting is you have an all-in price. So I don't suggest you charge the same for a t-shirt as you do for a polo, or a tri-blend as you do for a carded, open-ended cotton t-shirt. That's where the good, better, best comes in, is that you can allow a customer to go along a path to be able to spend more so you make more profit. Ideally, you would make more profit as they go up the path, certainly per piece, but just profit margin in general. But what I'm suggesting is that you simplify it. So they have a logo maybe, and when you go to present pricing for that decoration, you have an all-in price. Here's with a front print, here's the price of this garment, here's the price of this garment, here's the price of this garment, and you know what, if you order 72 or more, here's what you save. So something that's very easy and simple to understand, and then you could have little side notes like add a sleeve decoration for $5, whatever it may be. So just try to think generally on rules that can apply across products, and then I'm always a fan of presenting an all-in price. When you start to separate the garment from the decoration, you start to run the risk of customers thinking they can go out to Hobby Lobby and find a cheaper t-shirt and bring it in, or be able to break apart the offer. You should also think, when you're creating value, this is like different thought, but it came up, so I'm going to go with it. So when you're creating value, maybe part of your value is that you do the artwork for them for no cost. And as you know, if you're purchasing from a company like Transfer Express, there's an artwork generator that makes that very easy. So think about the different resources that you have at your disposal and what you can do and how you leverage that into your offer and into your price. So hopefully that answers your question. So Mark, this video is being recorded, so as soon as the live broadcast ends, it'll become available on our Facebook page where you're watching it now for everybody to view the whole thing as well and continue asking questions. Any other questions coming in, Joe, right now? All right, I think we're clear at the moment. So I know this is a lot to consume in a short amount of time, so I fully expect that you'll have questions as you go back and watch, or as that you're catching up. Feel free to type those in. I will keep an eye on it over the next couple days. Okay. Next point, and this is the last one before I summarize, since we have a short class together today, is know your no's. So what I mean by this is you have to understand that there is a such thing as bad business, and you need to understand why they did or didn't move forward with the deal. So data is big in determining not only the business that you turn away today, but figuring out what the business that you're going to chase and go after and who you're going to become tomorrow. And so the first point, there's such a thing as bad business. Sometimes there's going to be price pressure. The customer is shopping on price alone. They won't, even if they're the target customer in the target territory, they're just conditioned, and maybe they had a company that serviced them before that did all kinds of pricing. So make sure you articulate your value. But I'm saying stand firm, because what you can do is you can tie up your capacity and your time with bad business, with low margin business, and then you have no time to chase and think about and decorate the good business. So it's okay to lose a deal, and there are some deals that you will intentionally walk away from just because it's not good business in that order, and it's not a good customer, because a customer established on a price discount is one that's going to continue to ask for a price discount in the future. So create value in your work, make it relevant, and then be ready to walk away when it doesn't fit exactly what you're trying to accomplish. And then secondly, the other idea of knowing your no's is why they did or didn't is critical. So someone asked a question the other day on our Facebook page and in our Heat Press for Profit group, and they were a little bit upset about losing a particular job. They quoted, or maybe they even did artwork for it, I'm not sure. But that customer then went and bought somewhere else, and they knew this in some way from Facebook or whatever it was. And so you are going to lose deals. Actually, in most industries, a close rate, which means number of deals you've won versus number of deals you lost, is anywhere between 15 and 40%. So that means for every deal you win, you're going to lose 2 at 33%, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. So the important thing is to be able to measure these numbers so you can work to benchmark them and improve them. And you should be able to improve them as you refine your offer and get smarter and better in the business and target better with the type of customers that are coming in. But the other big thing you can do is you can ask the question, why? And why, knowing why somebody said no is extremely important. Actually, knowing why somebody said yes is extremely important as well, so you can do more of that. So when somebody decides to go another direction for the job, it never hurts to make a follow-up call or to ask the question is, why won't you be moving forward with us? Or why did you choose to go with the other provider? And then you'll start to be able to understand what that particular customer valued and where you had a miss in your particular offer. And as you develop data and as you develop trends, all the reasons for why not, why you lost jobs, then you can be able to choose which of these do I want to address as I'm business planning for next year or next month, depending on what type of pace you operate. So understanding why you lose is going to help you to craft and refine that offer to make it better in the future and ensure you win the business. So I'm going to do a recap here. Am I still broadcasting live, Joe?
I believe so.
All right. So I lost my screen, at least what I'm seeing. So hopefully you guys are still seeing me. If you can just type a comment that you're seeing my... All right. I'm back. All right. Can we try the PowerPoint again, or is my PowerPoint gone? All right. So this is the summary. We would have been able to get there anyways. That was weird. All right. So these are the 5 steps to success that we just covered for basically quit competing on price, unlocking your competitive advantage. So number 1 is know your minimum viable customer. What types of customers do you want? And then what do they value? And what are some of their pain points? You can make sure to craft it as part of your offer. Once you have a good understanding for who the customer is and put yourself in their shoes, then you tailor the offer, making sure what you create in your decorated apparel offer is relevant to them and something they're going to value. Everything from the looks and the styles to the delivery model to everything that would matter to them as part of the process should be part of tailoring the offer. Once you tailor that offer, you need to simplify the offer. So make it simple and then simplify it again. Everything from the garments you present to the price grids you create to how you deliver the story on actually delivery and turn time and those sorts of things. So simplifying is very key in order for a customer to grasp it and be able to move to decision, whether it's a yes or no. 4th, deliver the story like no one else. This comes into being able to use customer stories where you've delivered in that market before. Hopefully you have a customer base there, which lends credibility, which helps to overcome price pressure in the long term. This point also means delivering the story in such a targeted way where perhaps you meet an audience of one through social media marketing like on Facebook or through Google AdWords marketing with targeted specific keywords. And then lastly, know why people say no. You are certainly going to get some no's as you're doing this, and you're going to stand your ground and you're going to know why they said no, and you will be able to analyze that and figure out whether you need to refine the offer to be able to grow the business profitably. So I'm going to stay on. We still have a few minutes together and take a look through some of the questions that I know are coming in. And as you're digesting this, feel free to type them in. But Michael had another question. Walked away from a 300 shirt order because we set the price, didn't charge a rush fee, and customer won in 5 days. And they still said, when we gave pricing, we thought it would be cheaper. Yeah, which we were already at 20% profit margin because we thought the future business potential. Yeah, so there's some that you're going to lose. I mean, you'll be able to make a determination, right? I'd rather personally see a business intentionally structure a loss leader product to bring in new customers, because the spirit of your comment there was you discounted the work to bring in a new customer. So maybe another way to consider approaching that is instead of discounting like the quote and the first work, maybe come up with a loss leader that you can use into that market long term. So you've seen the guys that do the $5 embroidered polo, single color, no setup, no digitizing fee, something like that. You know they're not making money on there, but there's a certain advertising expense to win a customer, and there's a certain response that you want when somebody clicks on your ad. You want them to move through to purchase or when they engage with you. So maybe you do something like you do a $5 t-shirt and you just restrict it to white t-shirt, single color design, something to get new customers in the door that's really a cost of advertising, a marketing expense, and then you bring them in and you sell them all the other stuff. So I'd much rather see that than just discounting your existing product, because I do think that conditions the customer to always want to negotiate, which is not a fun place to be for your business moving into the future. All right, good. So appreciate everybody attending. As always, we're broadcasting live. Now we do have a little bit of a gift for you for those that you are interested, and this is a little bit of a hook for one of our upcoming live classes. So we have our heat transfer vinyl cost calculator, which I put together. So I know a lot of you are in the business of cutting heat transfer vinyl. If you visit this link, you'll be able to enter some information, download that cost calculator for free, so you can have an accurate understanding of your cost, so you can really set prices smartly to ensure you are charging the right price. We're going to be doing a broadcast, and gosh, I don't remember the date, Joe. Do you remember it? For Zach and I? So you'll see the ad, but my brother Zach and I are going to be doing a broadcast that's all about pricing strategies. That's a little bit different than this, that will start to talk about things like the keystoning method and gross profit margin and all these different ways to approach pricing once you have an understanding of your cost. So if you want to download that cost calculator, I think there's a video that teaches you how to use it. It's going to be great. It's going to set you up nice to attend that class that we're having here in just a couple weeks. Thanks for attending.